Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Michael Dowden. I'm here with Lauralink, and I'm really looking forward to doing a prep stream. Give me 1 minute to tweak a couple audio settings, and then we're going to get started. There we go. I accidentally had a second copy of Twitch open that was chiming in my ear. That made it hard to talk. I think we're all good now. Thanks, everyone. Um, Let me do one more thing. We need to get captions set up. So we should now have captions on the Twitch stream. Use image on stream. Yes, that's how I noticed. I noticed the typo because I was going to use it in the stream. I wanted to have something to show when I went live. So this is our streaming schedule. Today, January the 8th, I'm going to be preparing a Pathfinder adventure, Quest for the Frozen Flame. So that's what we're gonna jump into here in just a minute. I'm going to be continuing this actually next Monday. I'm assuming that I'm not going to get all my prep done today. So we're going to continue that next Monday because I've got a game coming up that I'm running. So really quick introduction. Again, my name is Michael Dowden. I've been GMing off and on for at least a decade. I've been playing RPGs for a little over 20 years. Um, I have run games at Gen Con multiple times. I have run a number of multi-year campaigns, mostly Pathfinder, ironically. And so I'm looking forward to just kind of giving you a perspective how I go about doing prep. The answer generally is I don't do enough prep, in part because sometimes it's hard and I just wing things, but it's a lot better for the overall experience when you have things planned out a little bit. I find that I'm usually a little bit busy and don't have a lot of time to do the type of prep that I would like, but we're going to sit down and do this together and hopefully get a little bit of insight on how I think about getting things ready. So with that, I'm going to jump into it. Do note everything I'm doing today is going to be inside of Lurelink. Feel free to ask questions, jump into the chat, talk to me. Yeah, the gaming group is utter chaos. Planning, yes, the number of times that I have spent a couple hours like carefully planning up the next three encounters only to have the entire party go a completely different direction, have to wing it anyway. It happens. Mark knows the pain. It's how it goes. There's always more prep to do, for sure, for sure. Do feel free to jump in the chat. I am keeping an eye on it, and whether you're on YouTube or Twitch, happy to have you here. We are also working really hard on getting to Twitch affiliate this month for Lorelink. So if you are listening in, please do go ahead and give us a follow. Greatly appreciate it. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump on into Lorelink. I have my adventure right here. I have done some of my prep. I'm missing a bunch of stuff. So one of the first things that I do when I'm preparing for Pathfinder specifically, and this would apply to D&D as well and some other types of campaigns. When I'm looking through the printed material, a lot of times there is going to be a lot of maybe custom monsters, for example, or different types of creatures we're going to encounter. So let me share my full screen for a minute and show you kind of what the source material looks like, right? So I've got this entire PDF of nothing but special customized creatures. So one of the things that I like to do is look up the upcoming creatures I expect to encounter and go ahead and get those in. So I'm going to start there. One of the reasons that I start there is that I personally find that one of the most challenging parts of running a game is managing encounters, specifically combat encounters, but honestly, any type of encounter, even dialogue heavy encounters, I like to have all the details at my fingertips for doing that. There's a lot of different types of things like some exploration and overall campaign details that I can do on the fly. I don't seem to have too much trouble with that. I don't do well kind of winging combat, so I want to have the stats readily available so I don't have to go pull up 13 different browser tabs with, or you know, bookmark all the pages. So if I'm, when I was doing this in hard copy books several years ago, I would actually go in and put like post-it tabs on every single place with all the monsters, and that became too cumbersome because I'd find that from rounds to rounds, I was flipping between pages and going from bookmark to bookmark. And so I started actually photocopying them and having the stack of papers there to flip through, which was a little bit better, but LoreLink actually makes this a lot nicer. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this. Let me switch back to the LoreLink view here. So I'm going to go in and create this as a creature. Double check where we are. Okay, so I've got a bunch in here already, you see. So even when I'm crunched for time, this is one of the things that I still am pretty careful to do. Um, go ahead and do a short description. Perfect. We're going to do a full description. All right. I'm going to save that right there. Oops. I knew it. I knew I was going to do that. Created. We'll just abbreviate. Created through necromantic experimentation. Close enough. And save that. And the reason for a character limit there, by the way, is that it makes it easier within LoreLink to display this. Like if this was super long, it wouldn't be very useful here. You wouldn't have anything to see. So I'm going to pull this up. One of the things that I want to go ahead and do is I'm not going to mess with custom fields, but I am going to add some stats. So I generally try to copy and paste as much as I can and avoid typing, which is actually generally pretty easy to do. I can do this right out of the Pathfinder PDF file, not a problem. Sometimes what I'll do in a pinch for Pathfinder specifically, and I don't mind talking about Pathfinder since that's what I'm doing right now, is I could look this up out here in Archives of Nethys. They've got fantastic stuff, and I can either do this or, really cool feature here, I can go ahead and look up rule systems information. So got Pathfinder 2E. We're going to look for, should be a, there it is. It's a monster. And that is the, oh, it's actually not in there. It's interesting. So they don't, this is a new enough monster. So it just means that we need to run an update on our shortcuts here. So I can go ahead and put it in manually. Using Markdown, that's a link directly to Archives of Nethys. And we're going to go ahead and save this update. Now I have all this stuff that I want to have in there at a glance. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing really quickly because it just makes it a little bit easier for me to read. I choose kind of what I'm going to, oops, that's the wrong one. I'm going to make some things bold. I'm just using Control B shortcut on the keyboard to do that. This just makes it a little bit easier for me as a GM to quickly latch on to where the breaking points are between different things. There we go. Perception comes up all the time in my groups in general. You never know when people are going to be trying to sneak around. And we'll go ahead and save that. Okay, so I got my Necro Husk, looking for the next monster. Looks like, all right, I've got Ashen Swale, the Tyrannical Godcaller, so that's going to be a villain. And we're going to put them in here. And so this is one of the big villains of the campaign. Past is shrouded in mystery. I could do a lot more description, but I'm going to focus just on the stat block for right now because that is the thing that I'm going to need to be able to look up quickly. In a perfect world, I would not have to pull up the PDF for anything. We'll see how much of the planning I do. Sometimes a lot of times what I'll do is move all the quick moving pieces into LoreLink so that I can move around through things quickly, but I won't necessarily bother moving all of the narrative in, and I'll still go back to the PDF for some of the narrative. Like if the players ask a specific question that isn't in the prepped material, I'll just pull it up from the PDF. But it still means that I only have 2 things open instead of like 30. Um, in an ideal world, I would get it all copied over because it would make my life a lot easier. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and, again, bold a few things to make my life a little bit easier. For a villain, he's not super high level, which is good. With a name like that, couldn't be. I don't know what you're talking about. Couldn't be. Corpse puppet. Like some of these abilities. Can we just appreciate that? Like some of the kind of spells, rituals. I'm gonna go ahead and save this before I do something bad. There we go. Open it back up and continue editing. Siphon Life, Melee, got a bunch of spells, including Animate Dead, Bone Spray, Bone Shaker. Okay, see when we got stuff like this? Bone Spray, see page 76. Bone Shaker, see page 76. Ugh, hate it. I don't like scrolling around. So what I'm going to do is go up to that page and we're going to copy all that stuff in here, I think. Actually, there's a couple different ways I can do this. Um, So this is one of the places where you end up with running questions, right? So here's my thought process as I think about how do I want to attach those spells. I can either just dump the text right in here so that I have all the details that I want in here. I could also add it as a note down below. I can scroll down to the bottom here and I can add notes for the different things. That way I just have it right in here. I could create a new custom field for the new spell. I could create custom unique spells as tags and simply attach them. Doing that would allow me to attach it to multiple places. So let's say that there were multiple creatures that all got the new custom spell. That might be an interesting way to do that. Um, then the tag would get attached up here at the top. I think what I'm going to do in this case, because this is primarily, nope, I'm looking through the material and it definitely says that these are spells that Ashen Swale has taught to his apprentices. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do this approach. So you note like there's one of the tags that I have is which of the source books is this material coming from? That's something that I need to go ahead and tag. So just really quickly, since I was talking about it, let's go into here. We're going to add a tag. This is book 2. I also created the creature earlier. That was the Necrohusk. going to go to the Necrohusk. We're going to add book two. Why do I do that? Very simple, because when I come in here and click on book two, I want to see everything from that book that I have in the game. That is useful because this campaign path was produced across three different books. You complete book one, that's the first part of the adventure. You get through like level 5, and then you move to the second book and you proceed with the adventure. And it's just a way for me to keep organized and figure out where I found the information. So if I need to go back to the source material for some reason, that's one way for helping to help me do that. Burning Mammoths, that's one of the factions that is found in this adventure. So I've created that as a tag. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and create a custom spells tag. I can't type with people watching me. All right, then we're going to create that. And then inside of that, I'm going to go ahead and create these two spells. So I'm going to call this Bone Spray. And the tagging system can be used for literally anything you want. This is not necessarily the correct way to do it. There's not a right or wrong way, right? It's whatever works for you. One of the things that we've done with LoreLink is try to make it as flexible as possible to support any type of adventure or system that you want to use to make it as agnostic as possible. Um, yes, I think all of this stuff is going to be in Archives of Nethys. I totally agree. And I could probably just link it to Archives of Nethys rather than duplicating it. That's another thing to think about. I'm going to keep going down this path, but that is a great decision point for you is do you even need to put the information into LoreLink, or can you simply reference it from an external source? Um, we're going to do traditions, all traditions. We've got cast, area, and saving throw. Okay, and that is a spell. And we'll go ahead and create the other one. This one's a little bit more detailed. Actually, I'll do this. Traditions, cast, range. Um, any questions anybody has? This is kind of the process I go through. It's a little bit time consuming. Um, any Pathfinder players out there or averts eyes? Sorry, is there a burning man that smell like pork? It's a great question. I don't generally have a sense at my games, but apparently custom sense is a new, fairly popular thing. When we were at Origins and Gen Con this year, there are a number of companies selling like uh, either candles or completely blanking the misters or incense or whatever of different smells so that you can get the right vibe going for your campaign. Right. So I showed you one way, so let's go ahead and do the other way. Go ahead and find Bone Shaker out here and copy that. So looking through the list of spells, there it is, Bone Shaker. I'm going to link that I'm going to get rid of this annotation for page 76 because that's not super relevant to me anymore. And we have bone spray. We're going to do this one as well. And again, I'm looking this up manually on Archives of Nethys just because they're brand new and we don't have them in our index yet. So we'll have to pull in an updated index from them soon. Cool. So those are both linked in there. Now, if I look at the preview, we can see that they're both hyperlinked to the resource. And I can go through and do that for every single one of the spells. Probably not going to bother with that. I know in general what most of these do. I think in an ideal world, I would probably link them all, but I'd rather get through a few other things first. And if I need to, I can come back and do that part. The really big ones is like, I need this. The HP needs to be bolded. These are the things I'm going to definitely be looking up a lot. Corpse Puppet, that's a fun one. Go back down in my source doc to the listing for Ash and Swale. We've got Hasten Eidolon, so it's a fun action. Focus on the link he shares with his Eidolon, Idavik. Manifest Eidolon, so he's a summoner. That is a very interesting class in Pathfinder. And then one last thing that didn't copy over, I need transpose. There we go. Transpose. I think that should be, oops, I didn't mean to. I hit Control V instead of Control B. It's almost like I don't use a computer all day, every day. Okay, there's all the stuff there that I need to be able to look up quickly. I think that is it for our custom nope, one more, almost forgot. The other big villain. Okay, save that. Need a new villain. This is the arch villain of the entire campaign, Venexus. Venexus is a white dragon. So short description is white dragon, a cursed draconic overlord. A little bit of a description, and then we're going to pull in the stats. So out of curiosity, like I always start with my creatures because that's, and then I usually do creatures and then locations and then any custom encounters. Anything else that you do when you're planning? Do you do a different approach or different direction? Curious to hear from you. Yes, 20. I'm pretty sure that is exactly why it was named that. Yeah, it is a cringe-worthy ability name. Like, kudos to them for that, I guess. Frightful Presence, Mist Strap. Yeah, Frightful Presence, terrifying. So, Freezing Blood, reaction. One of the things that's important to do as part of your prep, it's not just enough to set stuff up, but I like to look through like Freezing Blood, that is a reaction that I'm going to get to use between rounds, right? So an adjacent creature deals piercing or slashing damage to Venexus, and the Venexus blood spatters onto them, dealing 2d6 cold damage. That slows that character for a round, so that could be annoying. Um, that'll be a fun one for the melee combatants to figure out as they step up and are suddenly able to do fewer things, right? Um, Jaws, I got claws, I got tail. Arcane innate spells. Obscuring mist at will. Nice. So obscuring mist. Um, let's go ahead and look that up together. Obscuring mist. Cloud of mist. All creatures within the mist become concealed, and all creatures outside the mist become concealed to creatures within it. So one great way to use obscuring mist, a range of 120 feet, 20 area burst. That's a great place thing to do to all of your ranged combatants, which may include your spellcasters, right? If he decides, hey, I'm going to deal with melee combatants, I'm going to put the other guys out by making them concealed. It means that he can't attack them very easily, but they also can't connect with him very easily. So, um, yeah, Pathfinder is very event and location focused. Yes, absolutely, absolutely true, and it just kind of lends itself to that type of planning. Um, this one's going to be a little bit interesting as soon as I move over to location planning because it's a right now we're dealing with hex maps and kind of hexploration. So as part of my planning, I look at stuff like this and think about in my head what are some of the strategies that I'm going to have for this, right? So let me finish bolding some of this, and I'm going to go in and make a couple notes to myself. Um, Draconic momentum sounds like fun. Ice climb, shape ice. There it is. Then I've got a couple more to paste in here. Snuff. Okay. Interesting choice of words. All right. I should realistically probably add images in here. Let's see if I can do that. Go to, I'll do it later. I don't have the images on me. Let's see here. How hard is it to export this? We'll find out. Sometimes it's really easy. You can actually right click on the PDF and just save things. So for example, let me flip you over to the widescreen view here really quickly. So inside of the PDF, what I can do a lot of times is save the image as, and it will actually let me download it. So we're going to find out if that worked or not. Switch back here. And it works. Good enough. So I've created a folder for Quest for the Frozen Flame. So all of my images that I upload for this campaign go into that folder. Um, this is the White Dragon Venexus holding the Frozen Flame artifact. Okay, and save. Apparently I have my own image up there. That's cute. Why? From my image library. There we go. Let's find Venexus. Yep. I'm going to select that and insert. All right. So now I have Venexus image associated with this, which is cool. Okay. Is that a Pokemon? Yeah, basically. Yeah, this is Pathfinder second ed. Technically, this is all second ed. One of the things that our gaming groups have been doing is going ahead and adopting all of the remaster content as it comes out, just because it makes it a little bit easier to avoid trying to decide what's going on. But all this content was published under Pathfinder 2, and it's fully compatible with remaster. There's no real issues there. Okay, so I had said I was going to do something after I finished getting this stuff in. I don't remember. We're going to go ahead and go to the next step. So this is all my creatures so far. Let's go ahead and do a location. Looks like maybe you all can't hear me anymore, so give me just a second. Uh, okay. We're going to take a quick break, and I will be right back. Oh, you can? Oh, okay. I just saw a message that said you couldn't hear me. Okay. Got it. Cool. All right. So what I'm going to do next, I've got my villain in here. My two villains. I've got the new creature. So I'm going to go ahead and do some locations. So the first thing that I needed to do is in this section of the campaign, we've got a exploration map. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that location. Um, the name of that area is something, something, something. Flip through a few different sources. It is the Lost Mammoth Valley officially. So this is a place we've been trying to get to, and once the party gets here, there's all kinds of more fun stuff for them to do. Quest for the Frozen Flame. I've got a few things in there. I need to add a new image. I believe I put that here. There we go. Okay, so the alt text for this is a exploration map of the Lost Mammoth Valley. Um, surrounded by mountain terrain. And adding some alt text, like that's not the best alt text in the world. It's important to be descriptive. It's also important to consider your audience and what you want them to get out of it. If I was planning to display this map to my party, then I would definitely want to be a lot more descriptive with the alt text so that they would be able to get the gist of the map from that alt text. This map specifically, I'm going to pull this up in a second, but you'll notice that it is an annotated map. So if I click on it, it's got all these location markers. This specific version of the map is only for me as the GM. So I don't want anyone to get any real details out of this map. This is supposed to be just for me, and I'm going to start adding some additional things to it here in a bit. Um, so once we get into the Lost Mammoth Valley, there is not a lot of description. What I am going to do though is this is kind of the parent location for a bunch of other stuff. I don't have a read aloud or description for this specific area, but what I do want to do is add some notes in here. Make this just a little bit, scroll over just a little bit. Hopefully you can all see that. I'm trying to make sure that that looks correct on stream. All right. That is, so this is B2. So I'm actually gonna start at B1 and just work my way down for a minute. So, oh right. So what I'm gonna do actually, I actually need to go ahead and create a few locations. Quick create. Call this B1 way marker. Um, this is the parent is Lost Mammoth Valley. I'm gonna, I'll go ahead and fill in some details. It doesn't take too much. Most of these are pretty quick. I tend to be a breadth first type of person. So I generally will fill things out, like leave stubs of things without any detail in them, and then fill in details later. I'm going to go ahead and fill in these details in as much as they're like really, really short, quick, and easy to produce. One of the important things for this map is just denoting what terrain this is. That's important for a couple of reasons, and that this is one of the things that I end up finding that I have to look up quite a bit, which is hexploration. Let's go ahead and pull up hexploration really quick because it's kind of difficult because the rules are scattered all over the place a little bit. So for example, types of terrain. We just saw from that B1 is in a mountainous terrain. So mountain, typically greater difficult terrain or difficult terrain if it's for hills. There's some resources and there's some secrets you can have. So it's greater difficult terrain. That is a consequence of it being a mountain, right? And so it could be really useful to have that as a reminder here. Um, and so if that's something that I feel like I'm going to need to look up, then what I'm going to do rather than having to look up, I don't remember, is mountain difficult terrain or greater difficult terrain? I might come in here and just say that. And now it's in there. That's part of my prep, right? So the other part of this is if there's a big section here for generating maps. I don't need to worry about that because I'm not generating these. These fortunately already exist. That's why I use prepackaged adventures. There's a lot, simplifies a lot of things. One of the things that becomes interesting though is this exploration activities per day based upon the party's speed. That's a mouthful. In general, a lot of your parties are going to be moving at 25 feet, which means they're going to get one exploration activity per day. That's going to determine a lot of things. There may be ways for the party to increase their average speed. Um, their average speed could theoretically decrease below this if they're carrying a heavy load or whatever, have a lot of people moving with them. Um, but also, what this fails to tell you right here is that the difficulty of the terrain also matters. So one of the things that I probably am going to put in on the hex map itself at the top level is the reminder of some of this stuff. So individual activities, random encounters, um, where somewhere in here it tells you there it is. Yeah, it requires 2 travel activities for difficult terrain and 3 travel activities to traverse greater difficult terrain. So let me, oops, sorry, let me go ahead and finish saving this and make a note of that. So I've got this child description. This is I don't know that I need this as a child. If I wanted this to be displayed on all the child locations that I create, I would put it here. For the most part, I expect all of my exploration activity is going to happen right here. So I've got, let's call this group activities. And we're going to have travel. We're going to put that here. You progress towards moving images um, and what I'm going to do just to make my life easier, one travel activity. There we go. Difficult. There we go. So we've got 3 travel activities. So that's going to serve as a reminder for me, right, about that. And now if I come up here and go to the types of terrain, we're going to summarize this. I'm going to, I find it's easier to types of terrain. I don't care. I'm going to do this. So I've got, I technically have some aquatic. I don't care about the resources or the secrets. I really care about this boat or a swim speed. Yeah, totally. I don't think we have any Arctic. Let me just check really quickly. We've got mountain, hills, plains, forest. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any Arctic, so we're gonna get rid of that. I don't have this in this game. I don't have any desert. In this case, we're dealing with forests, not jungles. I'm looking through the PDF for greater difficult terrain, and I'm not seeing. Okay, cool. There is nothing in here that is greater difficult terrain that is called out specifically. There's no dense jungles, so we're going to get rid of that. Um, Mountains, and we had hills called out specifically, so I'm going to actually add that. And I don't need any of these things. I might actually condense this just a little bit more. Now that I think about it, let's go ahead and do. I think this will. Whoops. There we go. This consolidates a little bit. The more condensed your text is, the easier it is to scan through and find stuff when you're in the middle of running a game. And this comes down to personal preference, right? 100% personal preference. It's what works for you, and it's kind of important for you to understand, hey, what is the information that I find that I need as I'm running games, and what do I want to call out? How do I want to organize it in a way that's easy for me? Sometimes you may want to put things into a table, for example. Sometimes you may want to just do a list, bold the things that you want to be able to grab at a glance, for example, whatever makes sense. Um, so difficult terrain, I'm going to put a reminder here, 2 travel activities. I'm going to put this reminder in multiple places because that way, whatever I'm looking at, I have the information I want, right? A little bit of duplication here, but it's going to save me time when I'm running the game. I try to optimize for keeping the game moving. That's my goal. I want to keep the game moving. I want things to go smoothly when I'm running the game and not have any issues. So that's what I'm optimizing for here. Cool. That looks good. I did not put that in the child description again because I'm going to pull this location up in order to run the exploration. I'm not going to run it from the individual children. So I added B, so I'm going to go ahead and click in here, and I have B one-way marker. I'm going to save it. Now I've put a node there. I can go ahead and quick create a few more. So let's go ahead and do that. B2. Pull up. I had scrolled a little bit in my PDF that I'm copying things out of. So I'll look that up 1 second. I tried to share my entire screen on the stream, and what I found is that it made things a little bit too bulky and made it too hard for me to show you what I was actually doing inside of Lorelink. So um, that's why I don't have the PDF open at the same time the whole time I'm doing the stream. If there's something specific you want to see, just ask and I'm happy to show it to you. Oh, retype it because I don't want it to be in all caps. There we go. Uh, we're going to make this like super bold because I don't want to miss the fact that this is actually hidden. I don't want to accidentally read something too soon, right? We'll go ahead and bold these because these are things they may need to do. Treasure. Um, the general, let's see here. Interesting. Okay. Okay, there we go. Low grade cold iron longsword. So the general gist in Pathfinder is that things that are magical descriptions are italicized. It's just a convention that's used, so I tend to follow that. And I don't always like if you notice all the spells for the villain, I didn't bother italicizing every single one of the spells. I mean, I could. If I had plenty of time, I would probably do that. I'm not going to make you sit around on stream watching me click Control B and Control I and stuff all day. I want to try to get to some of the meat of what I'm trying to do here as part of the setup, make it a little bit more interesting. At the same time, this this is, yes, I'm streaming for you to understand what I'm doing, but I'm also like I'm legitimately using this as an opportunity to prep for a campaign that I'm really running because I think it makes a lot more sense for me to share something with you that I'm actually like invested in. This has been an ongoing campaign. We've been running just a little bit over a year. We made it through the first book. We're into the second book, and now I'm trying to get everything into Lorelink so I can run everything through Lorelink as I keep moving forward. So I've got a campaign scheduled for our next session is scheduled a couple weeks from now. So there we go. That works. Save that. So one of the things in here, you'll note that it says it leads northeast to area B6 and then B7. Okay. So what I'm going to have to do after I create some of these areas is I'm going to have to link them together so that it's really obvious where can I get from here. So B2 leads up to B6 and B7. There's like a path between those. And so that needs to get called out a little bit. Um, click on here, B2, right? And now, if I save this, I'm going to go to move mode. If I, oops, I don't want to, sorry. Let me go to view mode. Click on view. Cool. Now, if I click on this, it's going to take me straight to the location, right? So the reason I'm doing this is it's making this map totally interactive for me so that it makes it really, really easy for me to go to the next section based on where the players are trying to get to. So we're going to do that. I want to go back to edit mode now so that I can continue editing. So because these are related to each other, I'm actually going to bypass 3 through 5 for a second, go up to 6 and 7, and go ahead and create those locations. I don't usually skip around because I'm scrolling through a PDF document, going one thing to a one thing to put things in, but I'm going to do it here because it makes it a little more interesting to show how I'm going to handle linking things together. Once again, we're going to make this bold because I want to not miss the fact that that is hidden and needs to be searched for. All right, I'm going to go do 7, and then we're going to connect all these. This is Bear's Homestead. This is one of the characters that they get to meet during their encounters. They may have already met Bear before now, or may not have. In our case, they very much had, but it's not a given. The way the adventure is written, players sometimes do things you don't expect, but in this case, I knew it was a pretty sure thing that my players were going to do the risky thing that led to them meeting this this character in the first place. Nuts. Accidentally hit Control V again. All right, creatures. There we go. Lieutenant. So one of the concepts in this particular campaign is that you can add lieutenants to your party. So it's not just the party of adventurers, but you have all these NPCs. You're part of a group called the Following, the Broken Tusk Following, and it's a group of people and animals that are all kind of working together as part of a collective, and you can recruit individuals and creatures to serve your following. They join you, they help you. They're very helpful. So lieutenants basically come in as a new type of leader for your following. So it's really good and useful to use diplomacy to convince people to jump on board, which is a lot of fun. All right. So that's that. Save this, and what did I miss? Oh, I forgot to type the name. Could have sworn I'd done that. There we go. B6, and that's B7. Okay, so now I'm going to go up here to the top level menu, and because this is a web application, it's really easy to just open things in new tabs if you want to. I use this all the time. That way I can keep things open in multiple tabs if I need to be able to flip through them quickly. Then I can just close them back up if I don't need them anymore. So one of the things that we saw in the description, let me pull that description of the Hunter's Blind back up. A character who follows this trail from area B2 discovers this area automatically, as opposed to having to search for it through the fact that it's hidden. So now I need to link this. So let's associate a location. I don't want to actually, hold on. All right, there we go. That is associate location. There it is, existing location. That's what I'm trying to do. B2. Now, these two things are linked together. Additionally, it says a character can continue to follow this trail north to area B7 with a successful survival check to track. So I want to link B7. All right, there we go. And so now these things are linked together. So when I'm in view mode, I can just go boop, there I am in B2, and I can see, hey, I can get to the hunter's blind from here. Um, and in the text here, then it should say a character who follows this trail from here discovers this automatically. So what I want to do is go back and edit this. Hidden, bolded, right? Rather than having this in the description down here where it can be easily be lost, I'm going to do this. Um, right? So this is what it's going to look like. That's bold. I can see that right away. If you follow this from B2, you discover it automatically. Now I know I don't need to roll. Or they can continue to follow this trail north to B7 with a successful DC 22 survival check. Now, another fun thing I can do here is let's delete the word B7, and we're going to go to locations. We're going to go B7. Bears Homestead. Boop, there it goes. Um, I don't necessarily need to link backwards to B2, so I'm not going to bother doing that. But what I am going to do is go back to B2 really quickly um, and do the same thing the other way around. So I'm going to come in here and say it leads northeast to area B6, then B7. So B6, Hunter's Blind. So I've already linked things through the associated locations, but I've also linked it here in the text. It's up to you if you want to use one or both of those methods, but there is a difference. This is just a one-way link. This creates a relationship between those two spaces, and it works in both directions. As soon as I connect these two locations, I can get back to each other from there without any problems. It's serves as in-app navigation built in, and also building up kind of an object hierarchy of how your locations are related to one another, which can be super useful. So closing this out, B7 now should, if I look at associated locations, you can get to it from the hunter's blind. Cool. So now we've done those associations the way I wanted to. Going back to the Lost Mammoth Valley. Those are the things we've found so far. I'm going to jump back to B3 because I skipped that over in order to cover the way to connect the different locations together. B3. Create that as the new location. And the reason I go ahead and leave this like B1, B2, B3, this is the annotation system that's in the adventure. I transfer that directly into LoreLink because I find that it is easier for me as I'm doing all the data entry. Once all the data entry is done, if I wanted to, I could go back and edit these and either move this to the end or get rid of it entirely. Be like, I don't care because I've got everything hyperlinked. But for data entry perspective, it's just way easier for me to keep track of where did this come from in the PDF document so that I'm mapping things up correctly. So Griffin Roost, description. Lots of hidden areas as we can see here. Make it interesting for the characters. In this particular case, it turns out that depending on what they've done and what order they've done things, they might be aware that this place exists and be actively looking for it. Hmm, okay, cool. Good to know. And save. And then I need a B4, which is the vantage point. Oops. I didn't copy everything. One second. Let's pull that location back up again. Oh, look at that. I need to move it into Lost Mammoth Valley. Save. Cool. Now I've got the creatures. I've got more information though, because we've got griffins here. So this is where we're going to add some more things. Come in here, new followers. And this is why proper prep is really important, because when I skimmed this initially, I didn't see um, this little bit, which says, and this is why I bolded it when I was doing the prep here. A character who succeeds at his DC 17 nature check can call him a griffin. Not intuitive, and I skimmed over it the first time. So it's important to call things like this out because the characters may very well be like, I don't want to attack them. I want to save them. Okay, cool. Let's figure out how we can do that and what skill would be required and all that sort of thing. Taco, you're having, you can't tell us about tacos. What? You got to share with the rest of the class. All right. So I've got the griffin roost in here. I've got this information, but now I need to add griffins, right? So I'm going to go to my creatures, and I don't have any griffins in here, so we're going to add a griffin. Yep. Okay. Cool. I've got a griffin, and now we're going to pull that up here. There we go. Short description, and we're going to get just the stat block. And we're going to go ahead and keep a link in here. So link to Pathfinder. I want a Pathfinder. It's a monster, and I want a griffin. Okay, that'll link me straight to that. That's a quick high level of the griffins. Now I have a griffin. I can go ahead and actually do one more thing before I forget. Like I've been doing, I encountered this in book 2. I'm going to flag it with book 2. I actually haven't been doing that on here, so really quickly, let's do that for each of our locations. Go. And I can go through and do it later. It's not a big deal, but there's our stuff there. So now that's all together. And again, these are all collapsed underneath Lost Mammoth Valley. What's interesting is Calamity Caves is technically at the entrance to Lost Mammoth Valley. If I come back in here and you'll see that this is A, that A actually reflects this whole Calamity Caves. It's A because all of its things, the different locations inside of it are A. So we're actually going to move Calamity Caves out of the campaign world and into Lost Mammoth Valley. So now when I come back to my locations, Lost Mammoth Valley contains Calamity Caves along with all the other locations. Um, it didn't matter before we'd gotten through the caves, but now it does. So I'm updating it, and this is where your locations and your data can be a living thing that changes over time as your campaign grows and adapts, and the players do stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, So it looks like we've had a bunch more people follow us. So thank you so much for hanging out. Again, we're talking about LoreLink. LoreLink is RPG planning and management for game masters. We launched via Kickstarter last year. We've got a lot of people in our early access, and we're super excited. If you're early access backer, we're very, very happy to have you here. Thank you for your support. We are really excited to keep growing and adapting LoreLink into exactly what you want it to be as a tool and a product to make it easier for you to run your games. A couple of our kind of guiding mantras behind Lurlink include wanting to be accessible, make it as easy as possible for new game masters to start running games. Also, for anyone who needs the use of assistive technologies, let's make Lurlink completely compatible with that to make it as easy as possible for you to use the technology in the way that works for you. And we also want to make sure that Lurlink works regardless of the gaming system you're using and the types of games you want to run, because there's lots of different types of games. There's dungeon crawls, right? There's very interactive diplomatic style games. There's games that are super crunchy with lots of dice. There's games that are highly narrative. And we want all of those types of games to work and make this a tool that will help you get those games to the table and have fun, right? This is all about making it easier for you to do those types of things. So, really excited to have you here. Another quick kind of bookkeeping note is that we are in the middle of our big month-long push to get to Twitch affiliate status here on Twitch streaming platform, because we have been for well over a year. I don't remember how long, maybe our mods can remember, but uh, for well over a year, we've been streaming consistently every single week. We've been streaming our role-playing games, planning sessions, actual playthrough sessions with some of our team members to kind of give you a view for what Lorelink can be, how we go about running and playing games, and just kind of to have fun. And we want to be able to reach more people to get more attention on what we're trying to build with Lorelink as both a product and a gaming community. So really appreciate any follows you give us, and thank you for being here tonight. So I've got about 20 minutes left in today's stream. I'm going to maybe jump over and do a couple other things really quickly. We've already covered how I'm doing locations. I can do some more of this stuff in between streams, or maybe I'll pick some of this up on the next stream, but I want to do one more type of thing tonight that has kind of come up in this campaign. So one of the things that happens as part of your planning, especially in a packaged adventure like this, is that the adventure is great. It works well. It's very well written. I have no complaints. But if you really want it to be compelling for your players, you need to consider who your players are and who their characters are and look for opportunities to try to pull them in. That is something that I have tried to do in the past. I have not been doing an awesome job of it in this particular campaign, and it actually can become problematic a little bit in this campaign specifically, because if I pull up this map again, there really aren't any towns. Now there are actually a couple towns, but you'll like this is a wilderness area. So opportunities for trading, for buying gear and equipment are few and far between. So some of the characters have crafting, they've created some things. Um, we've kind of they've made the assumption that because there's this whole following and this all these groups of people that are used to living out in the wilderness, that they are able to build and do things, and we've absolutely rolled with that. So they're able to get certain types of gear and equipment and supplies from the following that they're kind of leading, but they're missing out on one part of the game that a lot of players appreciate and enjoy, especially in a crunchy type of system like Pathfinder, and that is we want the loot. Give me the loot. And it doesn't matter if you give them gold if they can't spend it anywhere. So it's important that we try to find interesting types of equipment that will not be overpowered for the campaign, but also that we maybe give them opportunities to be able to trade for types of equipment they might want. The good news is that inside of this adventure, there are a couple locations on the map that are designed to do that. But also, one of the things that I want to try to do is look through the characters themselves and look for some of the things that they might be missing. So I think that next Monday, when we do our next planning session, what I'm going to do is start by focusing on that piece, which is, hey, let's look at who some of these characters are and how we're going to maybe create some opportunities to draw them in. And that can be both creating loot that's really super interesting to them. It can be maybe creating a new NPC or a new encounter that works really well with their backstory, that sort of thing. So it's important to give character players that the type of opportunity to engage their characters in a more interesting way into the material. And it kind of depends on your players a little bit. Some players like that a lot more than others do. Um, some players really kind of depend on that to be the hook for how they engage. Um, so I think now is a really good time in the adventure to try to push for that. Um, so I'm definitely going to want to do that next time. So with that said, we've got through a couple more of these. Let's see, we've got B3 here. Toss that in. Did I do B4? I wanna get all the way through B5 and 8. I want to clear through this section before I quit. So let's go ahead and do this. Do a B4. This is the vantage point, is what it's called. It is also mountainous terrain. Okay, cool, and save. So yeah, I don't know if you caught that. Let me pull that back up again in a minute. Let's move these around just a little bit. That's what move mode does. There we go. Whoops. Cool. So again, if I move this to view mode and come back up here and notice we got all of our children in here. Oh, I missed one. So let's come back out to our locations. Lost Mammoth Valley and save that. Okay. So in here, I wanted to look up, actually this is where I wanted to look that up. This is pretty interesting. So this ridge is the point of highest elevation in its hex. From here, the party can see the nearby river's courts, including its fork, as well as the forest in the valley's central mountain. This is intended to provide you with something cool. There's actually an extra rule here. So I'm going to add a tag. This is an important tag that actually exists inside of the material. This is a vantage point. And the vantage points offer a view into surrounding hexes. As noted on each vantage point, characters gain a +1 circumstance bonus to skill checks to discover hidden locations and to survival checks to subsist in hexes they've viewed from a vantage point. They can see the weather outside the valley. Consider mentioning other helpful sites and things that you basically GM discretion on how you want to leverage the vantage point, but at least give them a +1 bonus to things they do in the areas they got a good look at. So that being a vantage point, now I'm going to come in here to the vantage point and tag it. It's a book 2 vantage point. Cool. Now, when I'm in view mode, I can click on that to get the details on the vantage point. What does that mean? Right? It's all right there. So that's one way of attaching rules, like special rules to things. Tags are useful for kind of categorization, and I use them for both. I use them for categorization, and I also use them for reusable bits of rules. So now I need B5. That's also an example of why prep is so important, because like if you were just skimming through the PDF and you read through, it says area B4, this is what happens, but it doesn't actually have the rules on vantage points right there. That's in a different part of the page. It'd be really easy to miss it. And that's why when we're doing prep for running an adventure for a session, it's really important to look through all the material and look for extra rules or details that might be relevant, and why I, as part of my prep, try to compress those things and move things around so that while looking at one place, I have access to all the information I need to have for that place without having to scroll around or flip through books or whatever, and I don't accidentally miss something that could be super valuable. Let's go ahead and create B5. This is Hilltop Camp. And this time I'm not going to forget to put it in the Lost Mammoth Valley. Okay, terrain hills. Creatures, oops, interesting. Let's try this again. There it is. We teleport to this campsite. Oh, we have creatures here. Cool. That's fun. So there's a couple ways we can do this. I can, and so earlier I dropped the griffins directly in, so I can drop creatures directly into the location. Nothing wrong with that. I can also create an event. So this is going to be an event. Burning Mammoth's a hilltop camp, and that's the going to be the kind of the encounter. So we're going to create that as an event. Okay, we are going to put a little bit of a description. And then save the, that's not the short description, that's the long description. Oops, save that. Go to the Burning Mammoths at Hilltop Camp. We're gonna do a couple things. So got this is actually a location. So this is B5 Hilltop Camp. That's the trigger. When you get to that location, this is what is going to trigger this event to occur. I'm actually going to go to the location and add one little thing that I missed, which is the treasure that exists at that location. Oh, that's good to know. Two of the water skins are poisoned with belladonna. All right. Let's look up the rule system. Um, no. All right. Let me see if I can just find belladonna. There it is. Belladonna. We're going to link this to the rules instead of having that mentioned right there. Actually, I do, hold on. I need the DC 19. That part's important because that is the quick reference. So now I have a link to Belladonna. I can open that up anytime I'm looking through here. I have the information there that I need. Cool. Going back to the encounter then, used by the event, go back to the event. I need to pull in the creatures. So we have, these look like creatures that I don't have yet. So let's go create those. Burning Mammoth Archers. Nope, I don't have those. Okay, let's create one. Burning Mammoth Archer. It is a neutral evil archer sentry. come in here and look that up. Burning Mammoth Archer. Really? Oh, right. It's an Archer Sentry. Yeah. There it is. So it's a rebranding of this generic creature. Okay. So what we're gonna do is that. There we go. Archer Sentries. There's a quick high level of what the Archer Sentry is. So I've got the Burning Mammoth Archer now. I'm going to come back in this other tab and go back to my event. Burning Mammoths at Hilltop Camp. We're going to go in here and we're going to add some game objects. So specifically, I want the Burning Mammoth Archer. Cool. And I want to make a note in here that I have in here I've got a grizzly bear and I've got an animal slaver, beast tamer. All right. So we're going to put all of those creatures in here. And the encounter level is moderate 5. So I've been putting that as the short description in the event. That's the encounter level for this encounter. I could probably go ahead and look up XP. So moderate 5. The party level is 5. So I can go ahead and look up at this point in the game, what is the XP award? So I could look that up here, or because I've got 2 creature 2s, creature 3, creature 4, I can look that up here and put the XP award directly in the thing. Technically, according to Pathfinder rules, the XP award changes based upon the party level, right? So if they happen to level up before they get here, maybe the XP changes. So I don't generally assign the XP in advance. I do that after the session is over so that it's accurate, but like do that however you like. Sometimes it's just convenient to have that stuff done in advance. Okay, so I need to do a couple more creatures. I need that grizzly bear. Grizzly bear. Okay, and I'm gonna get this description going on in here for that. And save. I keep bouncing back and forth between which tab I'm using for which. Sorry for that. Gonna do the grizzly bear. There it is. And associate. Boom. And last one, I said in here that I needed that. Okay, so that is a beast tamer. So I need a beast tamer. There we go. Creating the creature. That's what they call it in the adventure. And that is an any. And then we need to grab the info Looks like all monsters and performers. Yeah, beast tamer. Performances. Yeah, we're not really doing performances here. We're not doing this to entertain, so I'm not going to bother copying this over. That is not really applicable to this specific encounter. So we're going to do that, and now I can come back in here and add the last one and associate. So now I have all three of these types of creatures that are in this encounter. They're associated with it. It's also associated with the location. Um, the reason that this is super useful, like I could have dumped all that stuff directly into the location and that would be okay. Um, First, and I'm actually going to maybe remove this. So one reason is that I like to be sure to describe the location before we get into the encounter. It also means that if the encounter moves, it's really easy to just associate it with a different location. I can just edit that event and move it to any location that I want because sometimes stuff happens, right? You as a GM can say, look, the the players are never going to come all the way here, but maybe they get close by and we say the burning mammoths are up high in the mountains and they're specifically looking for the players, so they're going to move down the mountain and come after them. Totally valid thing to do in the context of this adventure. That means that this encounter would move to a new location. So that's why it's kind of important. This treasure is here right now in the location because that's what they have stocked back in their home base. You're not going to get this potentially if they come to you. You're not going to get what they have on them. This is the stuff they keep in camp. Also, it means that if I want to, like, if they come to you, I can just come into the encounter. I can do the trigger. I can change the trigger. I can add a trigger, or I can just change one. I can say I would rather. I think they're going to move down. They're going to come into. Maybe they're going to meet me up at the Griffin's Roost. I can create trigger. Boom. Now I can just unlink the other one. I'm actually going to unlink the one that's wrong, but that's how easy it is to move it. Now that whole encounter has now moved to a new location. And sometimes you want to change the way things happen or the way things trigger, or you want to reuse it. Maybe I want the same, I'm going to have a very similar type of encounter happen in multiple places. I can create it once and link it with multiple locations. I don't have to create it multiple times. So, what's up, Wolf Mom? Whoa, hold up. You're not supposed to be here. No, it's all good. The stuff I've been prepping so far is actually some of the things we just finished in the last session because I'm a little bit behind. But I did early on. I did get some of the new creatures in there. So glad you missed it. uh, cool. Well, that is about it. We're at time for today. If anybody has any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to talk with you. I'm keeping a quick eye on the chat really quickly. Um, Again, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. We're Link. We're here trying to build tools to help make your life easier as a game master. And this has been a session trying to show off how I'm working on doing some of my prep for the Quest for the Frozen Flame adventure path for Pathfinder and getting that into Link. I'm really happy to continue talking to you next Monday. I'm going to be back and continuing to work on this same session prep for my upcoming session. So look forward to talking to you all then. Again, thank you. Please, we are trying really, really hard to hit our Twitch affiliate status. So if you haven't followed us yet here on Twitch, please do that. Would really appreciate the follow. Feel free to jump over to lorelink.com to check us out and to subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on the things that we are doing and the features that we're working on rolling out. We've got a lot of stuff in the works to continue to make Link better. One of the things that's really important to us as well, if you are one of our early adopters and you're in using Link and you have some thoughts or comments about what would make it more awesome or make it easier for you to get your content in or get your adventures in there, please let us know. We want to make Lurlink serve you well, regardless of what type of games you run, what system you're running in, that sort of thing. So please do connect with us. Yeah, and for sure, as Tony mentioned, check us out on Blue Sky. We're going to be active out there a lot over the next year. So thank you all for joining us. Have a good night, and I will catch you all next Monday. You take care.